Our last video in our DNS series covers the topic of joint centration. So joint centration is when we utilize all our previous concepts, the diaphragm breathing, the developmental kinesiology, where we get the neurology that maps those movement patterns for us. The DNS is what holds all of that into place, and it's what creates the concepts of joint health and centration. So when a joint is moving at its best, it is what we call centrated. So as chiropractors, when we adjust somebody, we create the perfect joint centration, and DNS is what holds it in place. So people who get adjusted all the time very frequently, they feel great. But always what we hear from patients is it's very limited in the relief, because without the rehab concepts in place and those DNS concepts, the joints will become uncentrated and stiff and achy, and the muscles will take over to try and stabilize. And that's when we start getting wear and tear and repetitive injuries. So a centralized joint creates better feedback to the brain because it's in the correct position, it's moving better, and it's free of any impingement or any irritations that can limit the amount of feedback and neurological feedback we get from those areas. So once we get the joint in optimal position, it creates the perfect mobility and stability. So for centration, you need full motion of that joint. But when we have full motion of joints, a lot of times we don't have the stability, and that's where our repetitive overuse injuries come from, and our impingement syndromes. So if I have an overactive trap and I lift up my shoulder, a lot of people say they get that pinching right in the top of their shoulder joint. That's an impingement because we have an overdeveloped overactive trap that is causing that joint to basically butt at the top of that acromion, and it starts becoming very painful. So with the centration concept, we get that to move into the center of the joint, proper positioning, and then with DNS, we can get proper stability. So again, it limits our repetitive injuries. It takes away those impingement syndrome-like events. And when we centrate the joint, we lessen the stress on ligaments and tendons. So everyone here has heard of tendonitis, right? If we can get those joints centrated, we no longer have as much stress on the tendons and ligaments. They don't have to work so hard, and we get fewer of these repetitive injuries.